Hey, we're all together. Let me get your phone. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I was just gonna let you know I'm here in Henry's school as teacher. So we're about to go into the 3rd grade meeting. So I'm gonna mute this and turn off my video, but I'll be watching to admit people
Perfect. That sounds
throughout
good.
the class. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Alrighty, hi guys. We're gonna wait a few more minutes just to kind of let some people kind of come on in. Miss Katie is out having to do something, so she's not gonna be on screen. So just kind of want to let you guys know we'll probably wait about three more minutes, and then we'll go ahead. I apologize, my dog is trying to start her barking session right now. And I even put her in the room to be like, shh, with a little treat. And she still's like, oh, no, no, no. I am so mad. So hopefully she'll stop, but she might not. She's kind of stubborn that way. So I'm going to mute myself until about 5:30, 5:33. And then I'll turn it back on. So maybe that gives her time to just kind of calm down. So, all righty.
So Gillian, I remember you from St. Francis. My my boys go to school there, and your mom and I led scouts together way back a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. At first when you said that, I was like, oh no, where do you remind me? Where do you know me from?
Long time ago.
I was gonna say, I definitely have to tell my mom. She will be like, what?
Your brother was an older scout, and mine was like a first grader, and your mom kind of like showed me the ropes and told me how to do it and helped me. And now mine's a senior in high school, so it's
Oh my goodness.
been a long time.
Oh yeah, because like my brother, he's a junior in college, or he will be Yeah.
Wow. Oh, they
And
do
he's
grow
like
up.
6'3", 6'4", like he is huge and I'm still short. Never grew much. I did, but yeah, he got tall. So now I just look like a little short stack next to him.
Well, me too, but mine are my kids, so that's even worse.
Oh my gosh. I always love when there's always people and it's like it's a small world. I'm like, wow, I know you because of there. I know you because of there. Because I technically know because Miss Katie and I've known each other since I was a kid as well. Because her girls are close in age. Really, they're closer to my sister, but we're like only 4 years apart, so it's not that big of an age difference. But we all went to camp together. So like she's known me since I was a kid as well. It's like always so funny when people know me from as a kid, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder how much I've changed. I know I've changed a lot in some ways, but I still am the chatty Cathy kid that I was. Like that never changed.
Well, that's good then.
Oh yeah. I live for this class. I like to say like I like to think I can always kind of go with the class because I talk so much that no one else feels like they have to talk or it gets awkward because I'm constantly talking. So it works out. I just hope it's not some of the stories I say are not boring enough for people. I hope I find them interesting, but you know. All righty. So it is 5:34. So we'll just get started. There might be some people just trying to get in. They might come in late. I also know right now we're having some thunder and a little bit of lightning here. So I don't know. I'm very far away from you guys because I'm in Pell City. So, but that could be affecting it. I don't know. It's okay. We'll go on ahead. So last week we started with our ABCs and then we started, or we worked on our ABCs and then we started our numbers and we got, I think, up to 15 and then we stopped. So we are now going to go on from 16 to, I'm going to show you the sign for 100,000 and a million. So I loved like last class, I said, oh yeah, I'm going to show you 1 through 1 million. And the reactions I got, some of y'all were like, oh, that's a lot of numbers. So I wanted to say, we're just going to know the signs for these three because with the numbers, I'll explain how that works. But we're going to go up to about, we'll do 16 through 25. And then I'll explain how you would continue on after that, all the way up to 1 million. So, okay. Let's actually, before that, review numbers 1 through 15, just to kind of give a little bit of a refresher, get you guys kind of in that mindset with numbers. So, we're going to start with our 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Good. We have 11. So you're flicking the finger up for 11. Then we have 12, or 12. Either way works. I know some people, I had one class where a lot of people were asking me, does it go up or does it come? And I was like, it's really not strict in that way. So I like to always say you can do either as long as you don't have your thumb sticking out. That people will know that's 12. Then we have 13, 14, and then 15. All righty, awesome. Okay. So now for 16, what you're going to do is there's 2 ways you can do 16. One is you make a 6 and then you shake it, 16. The other one is it's a little harder, I would say. It's not really hard. It's just so different and strange. Is you're going to make that 6 and now you're going to bounce your pinky back and forth on your thumb. If you're not familiar, like if you're not like used to doing that, it feels really weird. I will admit, like I remember doing, I was like, that kind of hurts. So I stayed with this for a while. And then as I started practicing more, I ended up starting with this. So now that's what I do is I just go 16. Then we have 17. So 17 is going to be that 7 shake, or it can be that 7 and now your ring finger bounces on your thumb. Whatever's comfortable for y'all. I mean, like I said, no one is going to judge you if you do 17 or 17. I promise they won't. They shouldn't. If they do, then they're just not being nice to you. And that's a whole different thing. So then we have 18. So 18 is going to be our shaking with the 8 or bouncing. Then we have 19, which again is the same thing. So 9 shake or 9 with the bounce. Okay. So then for 20, you're going to have kind of like we do with like we're showing really tiny, and you're going to pinch it 20. Or baby shark is probably a better description. It's baby shark pretty much. And then for 21, you're going to have almost like that L shape, and your thumb's going to go back and forth. 21. Now for 22, 22 does not technically have its own like sign, like how we've had 20, 21. What you're going to do, and this is how you do pretty much numbers throughout. There's a few numbers that do have their own sign, but most you will do this. And it's going to be, you bounce, you're bouncing it. So you go 2, 2 for 22. So 22. 23 does have its own sign. So you make a 3 and you're going to bounce the third, your middle finger. Yeah, 23. You can do 23. Like that's not going to be, you know, if you couldn't remember this, but you're trying to say the number 23, you can say, sorry, I've been signing all day. My hand just started cramping. I got to try to massage it real fast. Yeah, sorry. Just, I could feel in the back of my hand. I'm hoping I don't have it too much, but this was my first week back at school and it's been like a lot of signing, which I mean, it is normally, but it just felt so much more these past 2 days. So, all right, we're good. But as I was saying is you can do 2, 3, and people know you saying 23. So there's 23 or 23. Then 24 is going to be 2, 4. And then 25 has its own sign. And 25 is going to be your 2, your ring and your middle finger come down and you bounce them. 25. And that again, like I said, you could do 2, 5 as well, but this one is more, you'll see this constantly with if you're saying 25. Another way that I've started seeing more with doing your numbers like the 20s, like 21, well, I guess 22 all the way to 29 is they'll do this shape and then the number. So 24, 22, they do like that L, 22. I was not taught this in high school or in my college classes. I do think it's a regional way. It's not wrong at all. I mean, like I said, it's just some people are taught this way, some people are taught that way. And it's just kind of different. So I wanted to give you kind of that exposures that you've seen it. So if you do like you're talking to someone and they're going like this and you're like, I have no idea what number that is. That's not a number. This is not a number to me. Then you know it's 24. It's another way of saying to like 24 or 26, something like that. All right. So now we'll go back to our 16 and we'll go 16 through 25. And then we'll continue on. So we have our 16, 6, shake it, 16. Or you can do the bouncing with the pinky. Then we have 17, just that 7, shake or bounce. Then we have 18, 8, shake, bounce. Then 19. 9, shake or bounce. And then 20. 20. Then we have 21. So that's that. Yep. You have the 1 and then your pointer finger and your thumb. Then 22. So 2, 2. Then we have 23. It's that, sorry, one of my dogs is like scratching his, like he's kicking his leg as he's scratching, and he like was bouncing on the door. So it sounded like someone was knocking on my bedroom door, and I was a little startled, like it's just me. So anyways, 23. Then we have 24. Or 24 that way as well. And then we have 25. 25. Or 25, 25. All right. So from then on, 26 all the way up to pretty much 99, you would do that motion. So, 26, 27, 20, 28, 29. And then for the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the 10s, you're doing the same thing. You're doing 3, 0, but people will do, what you do is you go 3 to a 0, 30, 30. It's like you kind of have them forward and you pull it back into a 0, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So it's kind of just like, it's just kind of like you're forming, you start with that number, then you form it to a 0. But so for numbers like 99, you would do that same motion. So 99, 98, 97. Oh, that gets really, I can't go backwards. If I go backwards, I'm messing myself up. Sorry, I'm like staring at going, I cannot just put random numbers down. You actually are watching this. So, but that's how you would do all the way up to 99. Then when we get to 100, you will use the sign for 100. So the sign for 100 is you do 1, and then you pull into a C. 100, 100. If you were going to do 200, you would do 200, 300, 400, that same motion. If you were going to say a number like 325, well, no, let's do 372. Sorry, let's do that one. So you would do 372. And I tend to, when I slide mine across, you can do like 372. I tend to make it across almost like how you write it on paper. I have my 300, then my 7, then my 2. I kind of like slide it across. And I usually start from my right shoulder to my left. And I think I do that subconsciously because it's from that person's perspective. So they're seeing me say it's 372. You know what I mean? So, and when the 325, the reason I said I wasn't going to do that is because for 325 be 325. There's not really that slide. That's why I was like, I wanted one that has a little bit of a slide so you could see it. So, how are we feeling on our hundreds right now? We feeling good? Feeling like we got that? The 100? Okay. So now 1,000. What you're going to do for 1,000 is this is when we finally get our second hand in these numbers. That's why I said you can, or did I? I don't know if I said it. I usually say it, is you can go up to 999 on one hand. And that is like my favorite thing to tell people because their eyes just go huge. Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, 999. So, okay, but now we do need our other hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant's going to start in that 1 because we're talking about 1,000 right now. And then you go 1,000. So 1,000. And like we did with the hundreds, you would do 2,000, 3,000, 25,000. That's your 1,000 motion. And then for a million, it's going to be very similar. You have that palm up, start with that 1 for 1 million, and you're going to go 1 million. So you start at that 1,000 and you bounce forwards. Basically, I'm starting at the palm of my hand and I'm going to right where my fingers start. So that million, 1 million. So if I was going to say a number like 323,000, no, 2,323,000. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. If I get any more, I'm going to forget it. I already did. 2,333,000. So you see, it's very long, but it clears it up a little better, in my opinion. So, and if you were going to do like 300 million, you would add that 300 million. So, Okay. Now what we're doing is we're gonna just do just a little practice with that. And I'm gonna sign a couple of numbers. And you guys can either type it or voice it, whichever you guys prefer. I'm on my chat box. There we go. I like to have my chat box already ready so I can see it. We're gonna do, I think, 5 different numbers, and we'll start off small and then we'll do bigger. And then when we finish with that, we'll start our time signs, which are always kind of fun too. Okay, so our first one, number 1. Let's see, I'll wait. I'm saying number 1 and I don't even have numbers. Let me put numbers. If I don't remember to write them down, I'll forget which ones I did. And then I'll be like, is that what I did? Okay. I'm almost done, I promise you guys. And then my last one. Sorry, I know I should write numbers down, but I constantly always change my opinion, like my mind on them. And I have been known to, as I'm like signing it again, I will change the number again. So if I don't have it written down, my mind's like, no, we can't do that one anymore. We've done it already. So, okay, now let's get started with our number 1. All right, so number 1 is, I'm making it super easy. I want to make you guys feel comfortable. Good. So yeah, so that's our 3. I know, so easy. It was almost like a trick question, especially since we were just doing a million. But I want to give you guys that start off so you guys feel confident in yourselves. Okay, number 2. I'm gonna do it again. I'll try to lift my hand higher. There we go. One more time. I'll do it. Okay, wait, no, we got everybody. Okay, so yeah, so this was 76. So good job, you guys. I always wait a little longer because we have had some people who struggle with the numbers more in the past, but you guys get them so fast, I'm like not ready for it. I'm over here like, okay, let's give it more time. And I'm like, oh wait, no, everyone's done. So good job, awesome. Okay, number 3. I'm gonna move so you guys can see it better. Yeah. Okay. Again. Okay, once more. And I know I go back and forth between having a full closed C and open C. It's still that motion. 2. I looked at that. Yes. Right. Sorry, I know I added that 4. I saw the 4 on the page, my chat, and that's why I added that 4 at the end. But yes, no, you guys got it right. 132. Awesome. My gosh, you guys. Okay. So number 4. All right, ready? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. All right, once more. Good. Yes, I'm like counting. Yes, that's right. Good, awesome. So it was 5,200. Okay, so here's our last one. It is a big one, so bear with me. I'm gonna try to go as slow as I can. And if you miss some numbers, that's totally fine. You can always I always leave a little blank spot knowing that that's the number I need to look at the second time. So, okay, ready? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. All right, ready? Okay. Once more. Okay. Yes. Okay. Oh my goodness. So it was 2,475,250. So you guys did really awesome. Oh my goodness. I know those numbers, when they get that big, it's like staring at it. And it's hard on a screen too, because I kept trying to move my face. I know my hand will blend in with my face and it's hard to see what exact fingers are showing. So that's why I leaned away. But the fact that you guys got it right or got it super, super close is like awesome. And you should give yourself a pat on the back because like that's not easy for a lot of people. But okay, that's not, there it is. Sorry, I had my paper that I wrote the numbers on and I was like about to flip it. I'm like, no, your notes are on your phone. All right, so are y'all ready to get started with our time signs? Okay, so what we're gonna start with is our kind of the basic ones. So today, now, tomorrow, those. So the sign for today is going to be your make the Y's. You're gonna have them palm up, and then you're gonna bounce it twice today. Today. Then we have now. So now is very similar to today. You have that same motion, but now you're gonna do it once. Now. And I always think, I don't know why I do, but I always think about like my mom being like, Jillian, you come here now. Like that very final one bounce down. Like this is like it's happening. Don't know why that's what comes to my mind every time, but it does. So you have today, now. And then we have tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be your thumb on the corner of your mouth. What you're going to do is you're going to go tomorrow. And it's going to go forward. One of the things you'll start to notice when we talk about especially time is a lot of signs, if they're talking about the future, like tomorrow, next week, those are going to come kind of in front of us. Anything that's happening like today or anything like that, it's going to happen right on our bodies right here. Anything that's happened in the past is going to go behind us. So that's actually how you determine and define, I guess, the past, present, and future tenses in ASL, because we don't have those EDs. We don't say, oh, I worked yesterday, worked ED. You don't. You have context clues and stuff that'll show that ED at the end. So that's kind of a cool thing I always like to say when we do our time. All right, then we have yesterday. So yesterday has two different ways. Really, this is the more common one I see is you're going to make that Y. Start at the corner of your mouth again. And you're going to go yesterday. Yesterday. The other one I see is the thumb, yesterday. I learned this one. Now I do this one because all of my students do it. It is very easy to pick up on signs that you were just constantly seeing every day. And my students were very stubborn. They would constantly do this. So I became doing that. But either way works, the no pinky and just going back, or pinky. And pinky is back. So yesterday. Okay. So now we're going to get on to our minutes, like our, I never know the word for these. Our minutes, our hours, our weeks, month, and year signs. So the sign for minute is technically two signs. One of them is minute. You have your non-dominant palm up. Dominant is that pointer finger. Minute. Kind of just bounce it once. Yeah, minute. The other one more common is minute. You have your non-dominant pointer touch the bottom of your dominant and you kind of point it out. Minute. This is like, especially like in a setting like I'm going to use the class setting, is I'll say, oh, we have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. I gotta go like class in, like we gotta go to class in 5 minutes. That kind of motion, 5 minutes. You're talking about how many minutes you have or something like that. You can use either one, I think would work fine. This one's just more common. I see this one constantly is 5, 7, 9 minutes. If you were going to say like something like 30 minutes, you'd go 30, like that, 3, and then when that's 0, 30, 30, or just 30. Some people just not do that hand motion. I tend to bounce it just to show 30, 30. Then we have hour. So hour is going to be non-dominant is side, and then dominant's again in that pointer finger. You're gonna have a touch, and then you're gonna have your dominant go in a full circle. Hour. Hour. And I will just kind of fair warn, it is raining and thundering outside. If I start to freeze, I will probably be back soon. I just wanted to let y'all know that has happened in the past. So yeah, just a heads up. If it just happens and you're like, what's going on? If it's you, it's very well probably going to be me. So here's our hour. Hour. If you were going to say like 2, 3, or 4 hours, you would do that 3 hours. You can do 3 hours. You can. That is fine. It's almost just kind of faster just doing 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. If you were going to do something like 500 hours, that's when I would do 500 hours. Okay. Then we have day. So the sign for day itself is going to be your non-dominant is on, it's like across. Your dominant is going to start, like your elbow is going to start at your fist. And you can have a like back or fist close, either way works. And then I tend to have mine in that pointer finger at the top, and you're going to go day. Excuse me, day. If you want all day, like you're saying something like, oh yeah, we have work all day. You have your hand open at the top and you go all day with that wide hand, all day. Then we have week. And the sign for week is going to be our non-dominant is palm up. Dominant is pointer. And you're going to go week. You just go across your hand, week. So if you were going to say something is weekly, like, oh yeah, like this class, it's weekly. You would go weekly. You go back and forth. Weekly. Oh, I didn't say every day. I will give you guys every day. That one's probably a good one to have. The sign for every day is going to be a thumb near your mouth, near your jaw. Yeah, every day. Every day. And then month. So then month, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Month is like the hardest one for me. It's not hard. I can do it. It's the hardest one to describe because it just looks so weird. So bear with me. So you're gonna have your non-dominant, that pointer finger. You want to have your fingers kind of facing outward, so the back of your hand is to you. Your dominant is going to be in that pointer. You're going to turn it sideways, almost like a G. And you're going to have your pointer finger, like your dominant finger, go behind your non-dominant. Yeah. So month is one time. So month going down is one. Once is month. And then back and forth is monthly. I just think this one can be so hard to do sometimes and describe. And I was having to describe it again to my kids, and I watched them do this. They literally just kept doing this. They were like, I can't even tell you what the sign is. And I was like, so I had to stand and I kind of like guided their hands month, and they're like, oh. Then we have year. So year is going to have 2 fists. You're going to have your dominant on top of your non-dominant. And then you're going to have your fists go forward in a circle. Year. And then end right back up. Yep. So year. Year. This one is for if you're saying yearly or annually, you do not just keep doing this constantly. Like you might end up hitting yourself with that. So what you do is you do a point, you go yearly. You bounce, like you bounce it and you flick your finger out. Yearly. And this is annually, this is yearly. So we have, I'm trying to even think of an example. I'm not, yearly, just the sign, yearly. Okay, the next one I have are, actually, let's stop and let's go back over the ones we've done. I tend to do that as I'll just keep going with signs because I want to give you guys so many, but I'm trying to, remind myself, hey, you guys might need a minute to review them. So let's go all the way back to our today. So today, that was wise, and you bounce them today. Then we have now, and then we have tomorrow, just that thumb. You go forward, tomorrow. Then we have yesterday, which is that Y, and you go to the back to your ear. Yesterday. And a little, like I said, the thing I would always think of if you're trying to remember the sign for like tomorrow or yesterday is think about something that would go like, I always think about being on a timeline. And my future is in front of me. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going into tomorrow. I'm going in the future. So I always think, okay, well, it means it has to go forward somewhere. So that kind of helps me remember so I don't get these confused. So like it's in the future, it's going to happen. It's not here yet. It's going to happen in the future. Whereas yesterday was like, well, this is now getting behind me. Like it's already behind, it's next to my ear. It's in the past. So that's just my little thing. Then we have our minute. So the two ways, there's the minute, or minute. Then we have hour. So hour, that big circle, hour. Then we have week. And that's the palm up, pointer finger across, week. We also had our weekly, which is weekly. Then we had month. And then monthly. Then we had year. And then we had yearly. And if it was like 2 years, every 2 years, then you would do 2. Or you can do 2 yearly, but 2 years. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do, try and decide if I wanna do those or this. Let's do the days of the week. I think that's a good one to have. So we're gonna start off with Monday. I had to think. I always go back and forth. So we're going to start off with our Monday. So the sign for Monday is going to be, you're going to make your M. You're going to have facing you. And then you go in a circle, Monday. Tuesday is going to be the same thing, but now with a T. So our T, face you, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, it's going to be that W facing you. And then a circle, Wednesday. Now, Thursday is going to be different because we've already used that T for Tuesday. What you're going to do is, technically, it's a U. You're going to face you, and you're going to spin it. But I don't know. My mind always thinks, oh, yeah, the H, Thursday. Even though technically, since it's up, it's more U, but it's, in my mind, it's an H. Then Friday is going to be an F facing you. In the circle, Friday. And then Saturday is going to be an S facing you in a circle, Saturday. Now, Sunday has 2 different signs. One is Sunday. Like I was taught you're wiping down, cleaning windows or something like that, washing windows. I remember that was like that was her example for this. Or Sunday. I tend to do this one more, but either way works. Sunday. Okay. How do you guys feel on the days of the week? Do you want to do them again?
So like how does somebody like see if you're doing Saturday or Tuesday or Monday?
Yes. So a lot of times in ASL, one of the biggest things is it's crazy how fast you pick up on the slightest motion, like slightest bumps of a hand. When I'm first starting out, I tend to really like over exaggerate it. So when I'm doing my M's, you see, I'm sticking my thumb out, so making it very obvious that my pinky is lower. So it has the 3 bumps, Monday. But normally it's cool, just Monday, just a little, excuse me. And then for like Tuesday, I do it again. I mean, like my thumb looks really red. I promise I'm not hurting it, but it's sticking out so much. And then I spin. So it's like, you see, there's a thumb, there's 1 finger. For Saturday, what I tend to do for Saturday is I just kind of don't show my thumb. I don't let it stick out any. I just kind of almost like hide it because you really don't have any other signs that look like that, you know, because our Monday's got the thumb sticking here, Tuesday's got the thumb here, Wednesday's up, Thursday's up, Friday's up. So Saturday can be its own little no thumb at all. And so it's with those kinds of like clues and practices that help you kind of identify them. So yeah, usually a lot of people do ask, how can you tell the difference? And it's those. Also, sometimes like in a conversation, you can kind of gather it most of the time. You'll kind of pick up as we're going through this class that context clues are like the biggest thing in ASL. You just kind of gather things like, oh, I has to be this because of that, because a lot of signs or a lot of words don't have signs, or they don't, like we use the same sign for things. And so to kind of tell the difference of what is it, which one is this one, is you pick it up through a conversation. And so, like I said, we'll see that farther on when we get into more signs, but yes. Are there any other questions you guys have? I know I feel like I'm going a little fast, and I'm sorry about that. I tend to like to give as many signs as possible. So sometimes I know I feel like I'm just like throwing you guys signs, like here's this and this and this, but I'm always like, since it's recorded, you guys can watch it later and pick it up and kind of go at your own pace. So, okay. Now I have the next stuff I have is morning, afternoon, and night. So the sign for morning is going to be your dominant, like I'm going to kind of lean myself back to see you, if you want to be comfortable. So as I'm sitting here looking uncomfortable, it's so you guys can see it. Your non-dominant is going to have its hand resting on your upper arm, and then you're going to go up. Morning. And then afternoon is going to be like we did for day, but now your hand, I'm going to turn this way so you guys can see it. I'm facing forward, and I'm going to inch. Afternoon. And then I feel like we're always doing like walk like an Egyptian every time I do that one. Don't know why, but it comes to my mind every time and it stays in my head. Then we have night. So night is going to be night. You just kind of night. For fun fact, you don't want to come in, because if you go like this, that's English. So night is itself, English comes in. So let's see. All right. We have, so I'll give you guys the classes before. I haven't had these three before, so lucky y'all. Is noon, midnight, and all night. So the sign for noon is going to be that same thing, and you flick your 12 up, noon. So that's noon. Midnight is the same thing now, but down, and I'm going really high so you can see my face and see it, but really it's going to be lower down like this. You just can't see it. And you're just flicking that 12 again at the bottom. Midnight. For all night, you start, I tend to have my non-dominant kind of brushing, and you go with that open hand all night. All night. All night. Yep. I know it's not the most comfortable. It's very awkward, and I apologize. This is the only thing that's ever like not nice with Zoom, is it's really hard to show some signs. So, but okay. Now let's see. Let's go back through our days of the week and our morning, afternoon, and night. And then I'll give you guys an option, but let's kind of do this first. So let's do our days of the week. All right, we got Monday. We have Tuesday. Then we have Wednesday. Thursday. Friday. Then we have Saturday. And then Sunday. Sunday. All right. Then we have morning, morning, morning. Then we have afternoon, afternoon. And then we have night, night, night. Then we had noon, noon. And then our midnight. Again, I know I'm lifting it high as can be, and I apologize. I promise you are much lower and comfortable with it. And then all night. All night. Okay, so how are we feeling on those? You feel good? Okay, if you were going to say good morning, good afternoon, or good night, you just add the sign good in front of them. So the sign for good is you're going to start with your dominant at your chin. Your non-dominant is going to be there. And then you go good, good. So you go good morning, good afternoon, good night. So I will say there's technically, I always hate using the word lazy, but there is, I guess, like a shorthand sign for good morning. And I learned it at my school, and it was good morning. Good morning. You kind of come down with that good, and you go up with that hand. Good morning. So you're not doing that good morning, very big and everything. It's just good morning. Good morning. All righty. So now what we can do is there are two things we can do, because we do have about 15 more minutes. Is I can do how you would say last week, next week, years, etc. Or if you guys have any other signs you guys can think of related with time, let me know. We can always do both. That always works. Usually I will say we don't ever get as fast as we have. I feel like you guys have been really picking up on it really fast. And I'm just like, all right, we all understood that. So let's keep going. So sorry, I just like choked on my own saliva. I promise I'm okay. It just kind of happened. But so okay, so that's a good question. So someone asked if there is a way to distinguish between 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. Most of the time when I see you're talking about 11 o'clock, one thing for sure is context clues. So, you know, if you're talking about a work day, you know, you're not going to be at work well, you might be at work at 11 p.m. If that's like your second shift, they would understand, okay, well, she probably means 11 at night. On context clues, but what you can do is you would do 11 morning or 11 afternoon, that kind of thing, or 11 night, technically, because it is night. So you would just add those to kind of show. But like I said, most of the times, you know, oh yeah, I have school at 8. If you're like an actual student, like a high school student, most people know, oh, you don't have it at night. But if you're talking about like college, you might actually have the struggle with, I have an 8 a.m. class, I have an 8 p.m. class. And you would do, well, I didn't show you all this, but if you're going to say a time, this is time itself. It's just tapping on your wrist. If you're talking about a time like 8 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you would do 3. You tap the number and pull it up, 3. So if I were going to say I have an 8 a.m. class, I'd say 8 o'clock, like 8 o'clock morning. I was going to say an 8 o'clock class at night, I'd say 8 at night. So those are how you would differentiate. All right. Okay, the next and past. So what you would do for next week and pretty much next month and next year is you're going to start, so week, well, technically next week has 2 ways. I'll show those, I promise. So next week is going to go across and then in the future. So next week, it's almost like you're making a C, I think. Start from the bottom and go up. Next week. Another way people do it, I see this one more commonly at school, is you start at the opposite side and you go across and go down. Next week. That one, I know it's strange. I was very adamant with my students, like my first year teaching, it's next week. It is next week. It's not next week. And I had to ask another coworker who is deaf, and she's like, no, you can say next week. Next week. It was very like strange for me to learn, but now I use it more. So if you see me doing that, I did catch myself one time teaching next week. And then I said, I'll see you guys next week. And I could see people's faces going, wait a minute, that's not what you said. So that's what I wanted to say. If I do say this one, it is next week. Then for last week, you're going to go, you go week and back. Last week. If it was 2 weeks ago, like we did for like we didn't do every 2 weeks, but you go 2 back 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks in the future, 2 weeks. Then we have our month. Next month is like my least favorite sign. I'm so sorry. There's not many of them, but so you do your month and then you go month, last month's my biggest one. Next month. Next, you go down and you just kind of go forward. Yeah, next month. Last month is you come down and you go back. Last month. I just feel like I'm about to hit myself every time, last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Is that? Okay. Then we have our year. So next year, thankfully, you don't have to do the full circle. You can just go next year. Tap forward. Next year. In 2 years, 3 years, etc. Then we have last year, and that's you tap 2 years. Well, last year, 2 years. Some will go 2, like they don't go back. They just do 2. But this still 2 years. Okay. Let's see. We did our days is today and tomorrow and yesterday. Our week is next week, last week, month, next month. Okay. Sorry, I was making sure I went through everything. I can sometimes skip them. All righty. So how do you guys feel on our next week, last week, next week? Those, you feel good? Like, I know those can get kind of confusing on their own. I will say it does kind of take practice using them. I think is what helps is when you actually start saying more with them, saying next week or next week. That's when it starts becoming a little bit easier. So, all right. Well, we have 10 more minutes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of leave it open for you guys to ask any questions. If there's any signs you'd like to review, or if there's any signs you're just curious of, you'd like to know. It doesn't have to be related with time. I'm gonna kind of leave this open for any option, anything you guys have. So you can voice it or you can type it. Either way works. But yeah, I'm gonna give y'all kind of a minute, and if no one asks, then let's see. Okay. I was like, I hope someone will ask. It's only the second class. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys would be curious about more stuff. So, okay. So the signs for yes and no and thank you. So the sign for yes is you're going to have your S and you go, yes. Like you're nodding your head. I always think about nodding your head. For no, you're going to you have like those 3, your thumb's going to be forward and you go, no, no, no. It's almost like our baby shark, but now with 2 fingers. No, no. And then thank you is going to be thank you. Thank you. Now, if you've noticed, someone will ask this is good, thank you. They're very similar. That difference is what it is here is hitting the hand. Sometimes you can just say good, yeah, good. And that's more when it's, again, context in a conversation, you're not saying, oh, thank you. You're just saying like, oh yeah, that's good. Or thank you so much. Like you really want to show like, I am so grateful. You would go, thank you. Thank you. Like, it's like double hands. Like that one's like, oh my gosh, you're a lifesaver. That changed. I do that constantly when there's something that happens and I'm like, thank you so much. Like I'll get dramatic, you guys. And that's good. You want that in ASL. Facial expressions are like crazy important. So every other day. All right, interesting. That's the first one for me. I gotta think for a minute. Because what I would typically do if it's every other day is I would do this. And the reason I do this is I'd be like, every day it alternates, it changes. Because this is another. So I would almost be like, it goes back and forth. Or I would try to start describing it more if they didn't understand it. Like, that's when I would actually pull out my signs for my days of the week. So I'd be like, every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like every other. I would do that kind of motion. This is also another, this is alternate, like it's as well as like turn taking, this would also probably be more clear and better to use is alternate, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, alternate that. Does that make sense? I know it's a little, sometimes they're hard to describe things until you put them in an actual sentence and you actually use them. And then it makes more clarity. But there's also a lot of times there's just not, you don't always sign the same thing the same way every time. It's like how we talk, you don't say the same exact sentence every single time to the T, like to exact everything, there's always a slight change somewhere. And that's the same thing in ASL. So one day I may describe it as, like say Monday, Wednesday, alternate, or some days I might do, and this is like saying like every Monday, like all Mondays, is you go like M and you go down. It's almost like a calendar. Mondays, or all Tuesdays, all Wednesdays. You just kind of are going down that calendar. So like if I was saying we have art class, I would say on Tuesdays, and I would just go down to show every Tuesday. So that'd be another way I would say is all Mondays and Wednesdays. I won't even add to alternate. I just say Mondays, Wednesdays. There's ways I can even say where I'd be adding the sign weekly or something, like changing it up there. It just depends, and it really can just kind of change how you try to describe it. So a good question. That was like the first time someone's asked me about every other day, and I had to think for a minute. All right, are there any other questions you guys have? And one thing I like to say is also, it can also be deaf culture related. If I said this last week, I apologize. I'll do that. I always like to say this is a safe space for you guys to ask questions that even if you're like, I don't know if this would offend someone in the deaf community, like you can ask me and I can tell you, yeah, that might offend them, or no, it's not, you're fine. I know for myself, I was always very nervous asking people questions because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I did not want to come across like I was not here to be like, to be helpful or support, I really was concerned about that. Yes.
So you've been showing us alternate signs, like weekly and then going the other way. Is that like the difference between proper English and slang, or do they not look at it like that?
So actually, that's a perfect word to use for certain things. Like when I was saying the good morning, good morning, and then we go good morning. That can be kind of like that's like slang. It's shorter in ASL. They have a couple of other ones that they do. There are signs that just don't really have a word to match with it. They have one that's we call it, and I love how we literally call what it is, and it's called kiss fist. And basically you just kiss the back of your fist. And that is basically, it means like you just love it so much. It's so amazing. It's the best thing. It's awesome. Like I might be like, that movie was just amazing, wonderful, beautiful, those kinds of things. But there's really not one word that's like, oh yeah, that's what it means. It's kind of, you have to describe it. And there's also pa, and you tap your face and you go pa, and that's like successful, finally, I'm trying to think of some other, basically the biggest ones like are finally successful. And they call them, what is it they call them? They always want to say they're deaf beings, but that's something else. That's always, there's a really funny video where it really kind of gives you good like insight on how deaf people like will interact with each other, because like one of the biggest things in the deaf community, especially with like working like with signing and ASL, and we have it in my classroom, is lights. the lights are such a big deal. You have to have good lighting. Also to get kids' attention, you flip on and off the switch. And that's like almost us doing our claps, like 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. That's theirs, is the flip switch. You will actually come up to them and bang on their table. Not hard, you're not going like slamming, but you'll bang on it, tap on it. And it's because they'll feel the vibrations, and that'll tell you. And there's like, and it's really funny. I love seeing someone who has never really been around deaf people before being like there, because you can tell they're like, what's going on? Because you would think, especially like at a deaf school, it's very quiet. No, it's like the exact opposite. I would almost want to say it's probably louder than a public school at times, because we will stomp on the floor to get someone's attention. I mean, we are slamming our feet down to get someone's attention, or especially because I'm hearing. And when staff know that I'm hearing, and like when students know I'm hearing, they will, like they will yell to me, like, and I love it. It cracks me up. I'm always like, yeah, that's for me, especially with my students when they know there's, and then I'll turn around. I'm like, what? And they're like, I need help or something. But like, you'll hear screams. And we had a new staff member who's not been really around deaf students, deaf staff before. And she said that was the biggest thing, was just coming in and hearing like yelling. And she's like, what is going on? And we jokingly all told her, our staff was like, you will learn to know which ones are, I am trying to just talk and get attention, and which one is, oh no, something's seriously wrong. But it's those kinds of things that are kind of crazy. They're really cool to me. I think it's fascinating, seeing the differences and like waving your hand aggressively. And a lot of things that we might even find is like a little like offensive or something. Like we'd be like, oh, that's a little rude. That's not in deaf culture. That's not in ASL. One of the biggest things is they're very blunt. When I mean that, they're not going to say it nice like all the time. They're going to be very straightforward with you. That's not going to work because of this. Not, I don't know, it might not be the best. No, they're going to be like, that's not going to work. And it could be a little like intimidating at first. But once you learn that it's not coming from that mean place, they're just being expressive and being honest, because that's how it is. It works really well. So I know I totally went off of what you were saying. I can do that. I apologize for that, but I could do it, and you're gonna have it a lot for these classes, because I love talking about it. But yes, there are ASL slang. This one, yeah, this was your main question, was this one, and I didn't. And that one isn't really like slang. It's actually probably more regional dialect, I would say, because if you were to go up north, there's a good chance a couple of signs that you would say they'd have different signs for, or they don't know it. It changes when you go through regions. And so I think what happens is some people learn it this way, and they might have learned it from a different place, like state, or it could be like a generational thing. Like how we will always say, like, I'm trying to even think of, that's where I would say slang comes in, but not for this one, but for some others is they'll have, older generations have this one sign, but now we've changed it and we've modified it into this. And you'll see that if you do more like ASL and get really deep into it, you notice it. And it's actually kind of cool to me. I think it's so cool how it just naturally happens. One of the biggest things that like was a big discussion and debate was how you were going to sign the year 2000, because at that point they did 1999. And when it came to 2000, they're like, do we say 2000? Do we do 2000? Do we do 2000? Like there was a big discussion on it. And I was not involved, obviously. I learned this from a ton of professors. But it was like, and it wasn't anything wrong or negative. They're just like, everyone was like, none of this fits 2000, and I think they finally went with 2000. I mean, there's still people that will go 200. But you can see where it kind of like the regions chose and what, it's really cool. So, alrighty, it is 6:31. I do not want to keep y'all waiting any longer. I know you guys have other things to do. But if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to email Miss Katie, and she will let me know, and we can save it for next class. Or I can try to respond to it via the email as well. So, alrighty, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of y'all's week, and I will see all of you guys next Tuesday. Bye. See you. Yes, see you later. Oh, sorry. Had a moment. Bye, guys.